Hey guys, I want to show you as we're about to go into World War III that there is predictive programming showing that this has been planned. This video, for example, is called I, Pet Goat 2. The reason why it's called Pet Goat 2 is because it's a sequel to the first Pet Goat. Well, the first Pet Goat was on 9/11. And so when it says Pet Goat 2, it's letting you know the next attack on the USA. George W. Bush at Booker Elementary School, 9/11, 2001. That's when the planes were hitting. This is where George Bush was sitting in the class while the planes were hitting. Listen to the story they were reading on 9/11.
Thank you. Fingers under the title of the story. Get ready.
The pet goat.
Yes, the pet goat. Fingers under the first word of the story.
The pet goat. And see George Bush in the classroom with the teacher beside him, all the kids in the front. You'll see that type of imagery also in this video. You know, George Bush in the classroom beside the teacher, all the kids in the front. This video is named the sequel to 9/11. This is talking about the next attack on the USA. It shows in detail the attack on the USA. It also gives a timeline. And I want to go over that timeline to show you it applies to the month of April. And as we see things escalate now, it just looks all the more certain that their plan is going to be carried out. I'm going to show you this here. It shows Obama. He's got a graduation cap on. Notice that his graduation tassel is not flipped to the front, but when he leans down, it flips to the front. Now, when a tassel is flipped to the front on a graduation cap, that means you're graduating. So this is Obama graduating. This is the end of his presidency. And then it switches to this picture right here. And notice this figure right here. We'll get to her in a second. This figure right here represents Donald Trump. See the stag horns coming up off the top of him here? I'm going to explain this to you. Bear with me. That's a deer. That's a stag. Okay. And so when it shows that coming off of him here after President Trump or Obama's graduation, it shows the stag horns above him. Now the stag zodiac, okay, the stag zodiac is the zodiac that runs up to, the Celtic zodiac runs up to January 20th. Okay. And what happened on January 20th? President Trump was inaugurated on January 20th. So after Obama's graduation, then it shifts to the inauguration of President Trump, the figure with the hair, you know, Trump's hair swoop. They always make a big deal about his hair underneath the January 20th sign. And notice how his hands are. He's leaned forward in this posture with his hands in the diamond down shape like that, pointed down to make an upside down triangle. You can Google for yourself. You can just Google President Trump sitting. Here, I Googled it. Just Trump sitting. That's all you got to Google. And you're going to see images where his hands are almost always in this upside down triangle position. Right there. If he's not in front of a table, he will sit like that all the time. Okay. This is just, and people have pointed it out. Trump sitting. That's all this is. I mean, he just sits like that often, and it's not anything new. So, when you see that in this pet goat video, after Obama's graduation, the January 20th sign, the guy sitting like President Trump with the hair on the January 20th inauguration date, that's letting you know Trump was going to be president. Now, this was made in 2012, but it shows you events ahead of time because they have a lot of this stuff planned out. A lot of people don't understand the Illuminati. They have a plan to bring in the New World Order, the Antichrist, and they are implementing that plan. There is collusion at the highest levels. Investigate Club of Rome, Bilderberg Group, etc. Okay, so it shows that we're proceeding in the timeline. Now, this shows 2017. This these figures in total represent 2017. There are 12 of them. That represents months in the calendar year. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. There's a back row, and then it starts back over September, October, November, December. Well, it represents 2017. I'm going to show you a couple reasons why right quick. See the January figure here, the first one? He's got half of a yin-yang symbol on top of his head. It's just half of the symbol. It's not the whole symbol, and that's significant. See, it's just half of a yin-yang symbol. And the reason why that's half a yin-yang symbol in January is because in 2017, bear with me while I find this stuff. Okay, every year in the Chinese lunar calendar, a year is either a yin year or a yang year. They alternate. Okay, so you can see one year it's a yin year, next year it's a yang year, etc. Well, 2017 was a yin year, and so you see half of the yin yang sign inside January's head. That's January, half of the yin yang signifying the Chinese New Year started. You say, what's the big deal? New Year starts in January. Well, that's not the normal case on the Chinese year. Okay. For example, this year, the Chinese New Year for this year started, the first lunar month began February 16th. Okay. There was no New Year in January. The New Year in January applied to 2017. So if you go to 2017, this is a Gregorian to lunar calendar conversion. The New Year began January 28th in 2017. Okay, that's important because the New Year in 2016 began in February. Okay, the New Year in 2017. See, here's another example of this. February, first lunar month began February 8th, 2016. Okay, and that applied 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, all began in February, but 2017 has it beginning in January. And so after Obama's graduation, the next year, January of 2017, you have a symbol, half of the yin-yang symbol, corresponding with the fact that the years in the Chinese lunar calendar, okay, this is corresponding with the Chinese zodiac, which is tied into the lunar calendar, it has half of a yin-yang sign in the month of January. That's showing you this is 2017. So not only do you have the inauguration of Trump, you have January being the month of the Chinese New Year. Also, if you follow the figure around January or the calendar, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, you see in the face of August, you see a circle light or a lighter circle with an indent circle in the middle of it. That signifies the eclipse because remember in August, there was a solar eclipse, August 21st, that covered the United States. You remember that? That was in August. And so this again, and that's rare, very rare. So this again not only shows you 2017, January, the Chinese New Year, but also when you go around to the eighth figure in the back row, which is August, August is the 8th month, you see the sign of the eclipse. And this video does refer to the eclipse. Helio font here, for example. Helio means sun. And you see the sign of the eclipse. The O is large with a dark center, and that is Helio, an eclipse. That's what an eclipse looks like. Okay. This is what you're seeing in that Helio font. Let me get out of there. Image. You're seeing an eclipse. This deals with the eclipse, and that is what you see in August as well. You see the eclipse, a light corona around an indent in the middle, the indent representing the moon in August. Okay, so you can see the progression of events here that show this is 2017. Also, if you go August and then come down to September, even though I believe it has dual meaning, you see the swirling barbed wire around the month of September here. Now, in September, you had the hurricanes that were very unusual. You had Hurricane Harvey, Houston. You had Hurricane Irma that hit Florida. You had Hurricane Jose that went up off the coast of New York, all in September of 2017. Remember those three hurricanes? Harvey, Gulf of Mexico, hit Houston. Irma hit Florida. And Jose went up the coast of New York. Now, this video made in 2012 shows these hurricanes, names them. Okay. I'm going to show that to you now. It's important to understand this part of the video too, where when Bush in here, he says, fool me, but you can't get fooled again. Well, when he says again, he's talking about the second 9/11, and he points to the years, or to the months rather, because the calendar figures are in front of them. And when you put it together, he's pointing, he starts at January, and he's going to scroll through that back row, and then he's going to come back to that front row and pause on the first figure there. So he's pointing to 2017 going to August. He stops on August, and he's going to come back to the first figure in that second row, September, while his hand is pointing down here at where December is as well. So he's got September and December, but I'm going to show you that ties into what comes after December, because there is something that extends past December. Then he raises his hands up. So this was pointing to September. This was pointing to where the December figure is. But again, I'm going to show you that these things that extend past December are significant. This is pointing to a date. It might sound strange now, but I'm going to explain that to you. So he points to September when the hurricanes factually, historically occurred. Now, they have HAARP technology. They are able to manipulate weather. Those hurricanes were very unusual. But watch how this map, which, Harvey hit Houston, Irma hit down here in Florida, Jose went up off the coast of New York. Watch how his hands are going to correspond with those locations, and it's actually going to say Jose on the back of his head that's spinning. This hand is going to be up like where Houston is. This hand is going to be down further like where the state of Florida is, extended down, and his head is going to be spinning and say Jose. The three hurricanes that occurred in September. Remember, this hand was pointing to September. All right, he pauses right there. He pops right there, and that's for a reason. This hand is up, comes down, just showing you the first location, the Florida location, because it's further down, extended on this side, corresponding with the map. And then you see Jose as his head is spinning, the J, the O, the S, and the E. Jose, corresponding with where the Hurricane Jose actually went up off the map. And you can actually also see Hurricane Irma named in this video too, in the correct sequence, because remember, Irma was the second of the three hurricanes that hit. And you can see a division here. This top part, I'm not going to go over it all, represents Harvey. It represents a broken down oil pump. This video talks about it. And then the number 3 down here at the bottom one, but in between them is the second one, and it actually names I, R, M, A. So it actually names Hurricane Irma and Jose. It deals with the hurricanes that occurred in September. And why are the hurricanes so significant? Well, this video points to, when he points up, he's not just pointing, for no reason. He's pointing at this shark here and at the map. So he's pointing at this shark here with the hand that corresponded with September. And what this video shows, I believe, is that Russian nuclear submarines, which are called the Shark Akula class submarines, came over under the cover of those hurricanes, which were very unusual, and positioned themselves in the Gulf of Mexico, along the East Coast, Florida, all the way up here on the East Coast. I'm going to show you that. See the shark on the board? The main nuclear battle shark of the Russian submarines. Why the U.S. Navy fears Russian Akula class submarines. Stealthy with lots of firepower. And if you go down in the article, you'll see that the Akula class submarine is known as the Shark. Akula, shark. It's hard to detect. They're nuclear submarines. They're able to, shoot nuclear missiles. This is the main submarine of the mainstay of the Russian nuclear attack submarine fleet, and are quieter than the majority of the American counterparts. How much more so under the cover of a hurricane would they be undetectable if they crept over in that? And even we see stories, Russia says it snuck nuclear attack submarines near U.S. bases undetected. It came out March. That just came out last month, undetected. And I believe that's what it's showing here, because even though they came over in September, nuclear submarines, they're only limited by the amount of food that they carry for the people. That's the only thing that limits the amount of time they can stay submerged, because they can pull oxygen and water out of the ocean and convert it into that. So just how much food they can carry, which could easily be extended. So showing the sharks pointing to the map, and then does the hurricanes. He's bringing the sharks over to the map. Well, the reason why that's so significant, it shows you the attack. When this star comes up, it's going to go over the shark while it scrolls up the East Coast. It's showing you the location, not just of the hurricanes, but where the sharks are attacking at. Remember, this is called the sequel to 9/11. Watch this portion of the star. It's going to go up over the shark. This corner is going to scroll up the East Coast, while Bush is also going to have a dual witness here doing the same thing. Watch this. All right. The shark is being lit up. The shadow of his hat is pointing towards the shark. The corner of the star is going to the East Coast. It's not going to just shoot away. It's going to scroll up the East Coast. So the corner of is over the shark, and on the map, his hat in the shadow is pointing to the shark while he's looking at the map. It's a dual witness there. This is the sequel to 9/11. It scrolls up the East Coast. Right when it gets above Maine, above the East Coast border, it's going to disappear. Watch. Goes up above Maine. Now it's going to come off and fade away. That's showing you what pertains to this attack. It's going to be by shark, Russian submarines, East Coast, and I believe Houston too. If not many more targets, I don't know. But this map pertains to catastrophic events that have hit the United States. That is what these 4 pins refer to. This obviously is in New York. This refers to the first 9/11, Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City bombing, Hurricane Katrina, where they blew those levees up, killed all the people, and the Deepwater Horizon oil platform that exploded and made that large oil spill. Catastrophes that have hit the USA. So this map pertains to catastrophes on the USA. So as it scrolls up the East Coast, it is letting you know the location of catastrophe, and it pointed to the shark as well while it did it, showing you the cause, which are Russian nuclear submarines. So we see that this is dealing with 2017. It names hurricanes. It deals with Trump being elected. I mean, how significant is that? It goes dark. And when it goes dark, the reason why it goes dark, and I'll just show you right quick too, this you can actually see, a semblance of a shark here in the water. The flag is ripped in half. See the flag ripped in half. This is talking about the destruction of the United States, ladies and gentlemen. This is their plan. I hope your soul's right with God, because we're in the last days. Shows a shark in the water, flag ripped in half, major destruction. We're going to get back to this scene, but there is a shark. You see a shark fin, and it's a silhouette also of a object in the water that is supposed to be the silhouette of the actual submarine. It's a dual hybrid, if you will, with the missile silos lit up on the back of the submarine. Got the shark teeth just to further show you it's a shark. It's referring to shark, a submarine. Again, you see reference to 9/11, and you see a shark here in the look like a tsunami or a nuclear ash cloud or something, but you see the eye and the mouth here as well. But I'm going to show you further in the timeline because it pinpoints pretty accurately the time of this attack. Okay, so we're looking at 2017 here. 2017 goes dark. You see how it's lit up? Watch as it goes dark, and that's significant. When it goes dark, that's letting you know it ran its course. Okay. Remember that there are 3 blades of grass with a caudally extending past it over here. Remember that. Because remember, Bush pointed over here. The only thing other than, December, this extends past December. There are 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th thing as well in another sense that extends past December. Well, 2017 goes dark. But then what do you see lit up? You see the girl staying lit up. Okay. She represents New Year's Eve. Okay. I'm going to explain that to you. Let me speed this video back up. Excuse me. My computer will cooperate. All right. She represents New Year's Eve. She represents Times Square, where the whole world looks on New Year's Eve, New York, big thing, big countdown. She's got the flower in her hair, the rose, which is the official state flower of New York. And watch as she drops this apple. 2017 goes dark. What you see here is the coming in of 2018. She represents that. As she drops the apple, that is representing the dropping of the ball in Times Square to bring in the 2018 year. So she drops the apple. And you say, how does the apple represent the ball? Well, that's what they used to use in the 80s. This is New Year's Eve at Times Square, 83 through 84.
3, 1, Happy New Year!
They used a ball, the apple. The only other thing besides a big glowing ball in New York Times Square, they used an apple. That was the glowing ball in the 80s. And so when you see that after 2017 goes dark, it's letting you know 2017 goes dark, the new year of 2018 coming in. That's what it refers to. So 2017 has ended, and now it comes over here, and it's going to hit Obama's foot, which goes over this, it knocks it partially more over this British pound coin on the ground, which was a world reserve currency backed by gold, and his foot goes over the top of that. And the petro yuan now is challenging the petrodollar. The yuan is backed by gold. I'm thinking that may be what it references. This coin is no longer in circulation. It doesn't have 100% identical facts to this coin, but it is a world reserve currency other than the dollar that was backed by gold, which Obama is stepping on, and that's what they're trying to do. They're using these tariffs and against China, an economic war with China, if you will, trying to replace the dollar with a petro yuan. It's in swing. So remember that the calendar went dark whenever 2017 was over, and what was still in play, New Year's Eve, was lit up. As long as the calendar was in play, it was lit up. Well, what you see here is an L, which is the 12th letter of the alphabet. There's inversion in here. And a C, which is the 3rd letter of the alphabet. Now, after 2017, you come into the lunar year, because it finishes up, remember, in February, not whenever the not whenever the new year ends. In January, or excuse me, in 2017, it began in January, but in 2018, it didn't begin until February 16th. And so it makes sense to see a ending of the lunar year, which also has 12 months, ending of the lunar year after the ending of 2017. And I believe that's what this references. You see the dark L after that calendar went dark. You see the dark L here, the dark 12th letter of the alphabet. So 12 months are over, if you will, and the lit up C, which is the third letter of the alphabet. So the third month being in view there. And that is what Obama freaks out. This apple is going to split open. It forms a lotus. I'm not sure what that means. There are two seeds and one seed. I don't know. But 12th month, the third month, you got the 12th letter and the third letter of the alphabet. And that, the reason why it shows the third letter of the alphabet, it's showing you the third lunar month. And that is when the attack is going to occur according to this video. Now, the third lunar month begins April 16th. He's looking down, he's sweating. And then it zooms out and it's going to give it transitions to this scene out here of this destruction. And I want you to notice too that he's in the first window. This was showing you the coming in of the lunar year. Now it showed you him looking down at the LC, the third month. It makes a transition. This video shows you the same events over and over again. For example, it showed, the shark on the board and showed the map. It gives you indicators. Well, it's moving, if you will, into the lunar month to give you indicators. It showed the LC, but as it zooms out, it was in the first window. There are 12 windows here as it goes outside. Notice that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 windows representing the 12 lunar months. And I want you to see in the snow right here, there's a big W and a big U. Woo. Now, that is very significant because that is the name, one of the words that makes up the name of the 2018 lunar calendar. Woo. Wushu. It's two words. The first word is woo. Okay. That's what you see in the snow here as it's moving into the 2018 lunar calendar, is woo. Now, that is not what you see in reference to the other years. They're named differently. For example, 2017 is not woo anything. 2017 is ding you. 2019 is not woo anything either. It's jihad. So the only one that is woo here is the 2018 lunar calendar, woo shu. And when you see the transition from Obama's graduation, so when the apple hits his foot, he's already graduated. His tassels to the front. This is Obama's presidency's over. To Trump, to 2017, to New Year's coming into 2018, and now it's showing you the coming in of the lunar year. The third month in the lunar year is emphasized in the classroom. It transitions out here. It shows you the 12 months with Wu, the name of the lunar year for 2018, showing you a timeline. And again, you'll see this snow accumulate. These represent months. And you'll see the snow accumulate here, for example. It's going to show you a reference to the third lunar month over and over again in this video. This snow is going to accumulate and slam into this third window. And that's letting you know something to do with the third lunar month. Remember, we saw the LC with a lit up C on the ground. That references the third lunar month too. But as we move out of the classroom, taking it as a transition to another scene, more indicators outside of the classroom. But check it out. Slams, the snow accumulates and slams into the third window. Watch it again. The snow accumulates and slams into the third window. And I'm going to show you something else that's just going to confirm this. That third window with the Wu spanning across it represents the third lunar month in the Wu Shu year. Snow slams into the window. Now, so mind you, first lunar month, second lunar month, third lunar month in Wu, snow slammed into it. Now, in the classroom, what you have inside the classroom is Obama sitting in front, Bush sitting in front of the first window, the girl in the months, the 12 figures sitting in front of the second window, and the third window is not visible in the classroom, but you do see something indicating that, see, he's sitting beside a window. We saw Bush look out the window. But when Obama winks, for example, you'll see that window back there. That's the first window. Okay, so Obama sitting beside the first one. The girl sitting beside the second one in the figures. And so the third one would extend past this wall. Well, we can't obviously see past this wall, but there is an exit door cracked open here. It's an exit door that's just cracked open. And you're going to see something that pertains to the third lunar month beyond this wall, something that indicates what's going on past that as this calendar goes dark. Because it also has a dual significance. To what's behind the year also shows you what extends past the year as well. So it goes dark, but then what is lit up after that, it shows you red inside of the 2018 third lunar month room. Red. Okay. Now that corresponds with the destruction. I don't know if you guys remember Prince Harry and the Obamas were sending messages back and forth going boom with their hands doing that. And you see the red glow on his face as he is looking down here in the corner. Well, where is that corner at? He's standing down here in the corner at the edge where those kids were. And then he runs out and starts doing his dance in the middle of the room. So where was that corner at where everything was red? He watched the missile go over and then he goes boom. Well, the corner of that room is where this is. Remember, Bush pointed to where December was, but this extends past December. We have the first, second, third lunar month, but also a hybrid, I believe, because we also have a second indicator of the calla lily extending past as well, which adds a fourth item. So that would signify April. Calla lily is tied in with Easter. Same thing above Eve. Remember, she represents New Year's Eve. Well, what extends past New Year's Eve? One blade of grass, two blades of grass, three blades of grass. And then the fourth thing is the rabbit. Well, Easter happened on April 1st. This represents April. So you got January, February, March, April extending past New Year's Eve. And so as it goes dark, Bush pointed to this. That's when the destruction occurs. You'll also see a co-witness of that because as it goes dark, the rabbit in the back behind the year, the rabbit is lit up as well. See, the rabbit stays lit up. So the rabbit, April, is in play. Okay. And the third lunar month is red. So that is letting you know the third lunar month. Not only that, I can show you this as well. You're going to see the moon reflected in this screen face's eye, which corresponds with the lunar month. Obviously, the moon, the lunar month, the lunar calendar. I'm going to show you that. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Hold on a second. You see this puddle down here? You're going to see the moon scrape across this puddle. Watch the moon scrape across this puddle here. That's a reflection. Watch the moon. See the moon? Reflection of the moon in the puddle. That's the light source reflecting off the screen face. But when it shows him up close, it's going to show three lines reflecting the light source. In other words, The moon is the light source, shown by that. The reflection in his eye from the light source is not a moon shape, but it's 3 bars representing the third moon something, because the light is the moon. The third lunar month is what it's representing. The third lunar month. You see the 3 bars in his eye. 1, 2, 3 bars in his eye. Now, as it zooms in on the boy, you see the 3 bars there? As it zooms in on the boy here, it's going to show in his eyes not 3 bars, but the number 3 from light as well. So we have a moon with 3 bars and the number 3 all tied into the moon. A co-witness of 3 in 2 different ways. The third lunar month. Now watch as his eye opens here. It says uranium or plutonium, and then markets plunge and war coverage next. Talking about war, markets plunging, which they have been, and you see the lit up 3 in his eye. That's a lit up 3 with a faint off-white 3 inside of it. But there is also another 3 over here, which I don't know if it's saying he's looking at 1 3 with both eyes, or if it's showing you, if it's signifying two threes, and a 3 3, if you will. Something that also makes me think it might signify 3 3, the third lunar month, or the third day inside the third lunar month, is because of what we see here when it zooms in on the boy. Watch this. Remember, like, he's sitting in the position that December was sitting in. If you look at those figures, he's the one, his position facing inward like that corresponds only with the December figure, who is sitting faced that way. Well, that's kind of what you see over here as well. But what extends past December here, the third lunar month, you're going to see something on that side of him here, which is also going to signify the third lunar month. The 3 bars again in his eye does that for a reason. Third, something to do with the moon, third lunar month. But he's also going to say 1 2 bite. In other words, at the third is the bite. 1, look at his mouth. Now he's going to say 2. Watch him say 2. 2. Now watch him do bite on the third. So the bite comes on the third, and now he's going to say in Wu. Remember, the name of the 2018 lunar calendar is Wu. Watch him say in Wu. Watch his mouth. In. Now watch him say Wu. So, and that's, and then he's going to just do more destruction. So the third lunar month, 1 2 bite, is that indicating a dual 3, the third day inside the third lunar month? I don't know. The third lunar month and April are in view, and the third lunar month begins April 16th, and that window runs from April 16th. The third lunar month begins, but April ends obviously April 30th. So you basically have April 16th up until April 30th, where the third lunar month and the month of April coincide. And I believe that is the time window that it is pointing to. Now, if it is showing the third lunar day and the third lunar month, then that would be April 18th. I don't know that, but I am convinced that it's showing this time window here. And when we see the events escalating the way they are, it's pretty astounding. No, I mean, it's called sequel to 9/11, and it has reference to 9/11. It shows the towers here. It's part 2. This is the next attack on the USA. Watch the electricity go out in this tower. Electricity is going to go out, and I believe that's showing that there's going to be a grid down situation in the United States during this catastrophe. The flag was ripped in half. The lights flicker. They go out. It's shaped in the Statue of Liberty. It's got the breast and the tablet. Coincides with what we see over here. Shows the Statue of Liberty. Shows a big tsunami wave here off of New York. And it just shows 3 over and over again. For example, here you have the alleged Star of David appear. And you have, so that's canted. So this would be the top where the Statue of Liberty is pointing. So if you took it as a clock, this would be the 12. This would be the 3 o'clock position. It's got a dot where the 3 o'clock position would be in a hand pointing over there. Is that letting you know third lunar month as well? I mean, that's not as solid as the other stuff I've shown, but it's showing a tsunami. It shows the Statue of Liberty. Remember, this tower over here was shaped, had breasts and a tablet like the Statue of Liberty. Now watch what happens here. The lights are going to go out here as well, if you will, because it's going to show her torch. The light go out on it and it falls. Remember the tower? The light went out and it fell. There's light shining on it. Goes dark and it falls. And I believe that's talking about a grid down situation, either EMP or cyber war. And nuclear war brings nuclear winter. Talks about it in Revelation chapter 8. The third trumpet describes the star that John sees fall from heaven, burning as a torch, and he names it wormwood, which in the Ukrainian language is Chernobyl, which was a nuclear power plant that made Russian nuclear warheads, basically, in the days of the USSR. Most famous term in the world equated to the USSR and nuclear power, because it had a meltdown. Chernobyl, the Chernobyl plant had a meltdown. And so that made the term famous. Well, they made nuclear material for Russian nuclear warheads. And John names it in Revelation chapter 8, the third trumpet. He names the star fall from the sky as wormwood, which is literally translated in Ukrainian, where Chernobyl is, as Chernobyl. Describes a nuclear missile tied in with Russian nuclear power. The fourth trumpet describes a nuclear winter, where because of the smoke that rises in the atmosphere, the sun will be blocked out. And that is not fantastical. That is scientific. That is what happens after a nuclear war. We'll play a section of this.
Smoke is the key ingredient in understanding the after effects of the first nuclear war. After the blast, the shock wave smashes what remains. Chemical factories and refineries further feed the flames. Huge firestorms whip up great winds and send enormous clouds of smoke miles into the atmosphere. There are enough strategic nuclear weapons in the world to ignite every major city in the northern hemisphere and produce enough smoke to blanket most of the land. From high above the North Pole, the first nuclear exchange looks like an eerie display of fireworks. Its combined force is 400,000 times greater than the Hiroshima bomb. In the days and weeks that follow, clouds of soot enshroud the Earth. Temperatures plummet. The planet is gripped in a nuclear winter.
As these smoke clouds move out and prevent sunlight from reaching the surface, temperatures will rapidly begin to drop. We already know from our everyday experience that at nighttime, when there's no sunlight, it gets cold. And it would only take a few days for the loss of sunlight at the surface to drop temperatures in the continents to sub-freezing temperatures.
Few days, sub-freezing temperature.
The nuclear exchange has claimed several hundred million victims. Darkness descends at noon, and day becomes eerie twilight. Those who do survive face extreme cold.
Look at this scene. This is talking about the after effects of a nuclear war. Only a few days for the sun to be blocked out. It's going to drop the temperature below freezing. And then it shows that. And, you know, when you look at that compared to what you see in the Pet Goat 2 video, you see frozen wasteland. It looks like the after effects of a nuclear war. And the sky is darkened, you know, and that's what the fourth trumpet in the Bible depicts, the after effects of a nuclear war, nuclear winter. Now, I don't, the first two trumpets, all the first four trumpets all deal with a third part of the earth in different aspects. And I am of the opinion that it's showing one catastrophic event, nuclear exchange, from different aspects. But also, I wanted to mention this because one of the subscribers pointed this out. This moon shape, you see kind of how it's a window, but it has kind of like the partial crescent moon in it. Well, if you look up at the moon phase for April 18th, it matches that. Matter of fact, I'll do it. You see how it's just a little partial light on the side? It's there for a reason. I'll look it up right now. And after this, you know, there is coming a great deception when the Antichrist comes. They're trying to weaken you. The Third World War, planned by Albert Pike and the Illuminati, influenced by Lucifer. They're trying to weaken you, to make you vulnerable in order to get you to accept the Antichrist doctrine. April 18th, you see how it just has the faint light on the side. So it's a match, you know. It is a match to what we see in that window. And so, I mean, it makes sense to me because it looks like it says the third, in the third, if you will. Is that the day of the culmination of the attack? I don't know. But I am convinced that window from April 16th to April 30th is when the America is going to be wiped out according to their plan. And it looks like they're going ahead with it because just today Trump's saying he's going to shoot missiles into Syria. Russia said they'll do everything they can to prevent that from happening. Put two and two together. This is not fantastical. This is mainstream news. So, are you ready? I ask those who see this video, if you can, if you're overseas especially, I'm going to put links to my books that I wrote, you know, explaining Christian doctrine. A lot of Christian doctrine is misunderstood. A lot of that misunderstanding is going to be exploited by the Antichrist in their twisting of the scriptures. And these works that I've written are going to serve as a buffer or an exposing of the lie from the misuse of scripture. A lot of misunderstanding, explaining the cross, why did Jesus have to die? Because a lot of, you know, it doesn't make sense in a lot of the way they explain it. You know, that, you know, there's a courtroom, one man was guilty and the judge calls in an innocent person and has him killed so the guilty man can go free. It doesn't really make sense. I asked the Lord, I explained in that book, explaining the cross, why Jesus have to die. It makes perfect sense when you understand what the Bible's actually saying. Restoring the biblical Christ is Jesus God. A lot of misunderstanding about Christ's relationship to the Father. I go through the history. I go through the Bible. It's very extensive and very conclusive. And the Salvation Bible Commentary, because a lot of people believe you can just live in sin and you're going to be saved in the end. And that is not the case. And that is not what the Bible teaches. Salvation Bible Commentary goes through all those scriptures and shows that is not what the Bible teaches. I put those links below. I priced them as low as I could. I don't make money off of them. I don't expect to see the results in this life of this, but especially people that are overseas, if you see this work and you can get it, because I intentionally sought out publishers that would continue my books after America Falls, would you please look into it and continue my work? You know, I'm not worried about copyright. I'm not worried about all that stuff. I just want this work to go on. So, please look into it. Please continue my work. Please spread my work. Having said that, I'm just going to end the video here. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I mean, it shows the Antichrist coming out. It shows the destruction of the church. That's their ultimate plan here. So, you got to prepare. I mean, we're just days away. So, may God be with you. Do not fear. Our hope is not in this life, but there is a great deception coming that's going to give you a false version of eternal life, and you got to be ready to defend against that deception. They're trying to break your will to make you putty in their hands, so you'll just accept their solution, their problem reaction solution. They orchestrated this stuff, and then they're going to try to come after that as helping you behind it all, as, oh, we're going to bring the solution. No, they are causing this. And I hope you see that in this video.